For generations, rural America has thrived on the hard work of family dairy farms, places where tradition, community, and the land are deeply intertwined. These farms are more than businesses. They're a way of life, a promise that hard work leads to a good life. But today, that promise is in jeopardy. A $3 billion crisis is pushing thousands of family farms to the brink. Milk prices have crashed, and for many, every gallon sold means losing money. This isn't just a downturn. It's a structural collapse threatening the backbone of rural America. For sale signs now dot country roads, and worried conversations fill local diners. When a dairy farm closes, it's not just a business lost, it's a piece of America's soul. The crisis strikes at our food supply and the heart of rural communities. The fate of these farms will shape the future of America for generations. For decades, American dairy was built on serving local communities, with generations of families relying on nearby farms for fresh milk, cheese, and butter. Dairy barns dotted the countryside, and local creameries were a staple in small towns across the nation. Government programs played a crucial role, ensuring stability for farmers and affordable milk for families. These policies helped protect small producers from market swings and kept shelves stocked for everyone. But in the early 2000s, everything changed. A new era was about to begin, one that would reshape the entire industry. Global demand for dairy soared, especially in rapidly growing economies. U.S. industry leaders saw an opportunity and urged farmers to expand production and focus on exports. Export or die became the new mantra. Billions of dollars were invested in new infrastructure, processing plants, storage facilities, and shipping terminals to send American dairy products around the world. Exports soon became essential for survival. Farmers were told that global demand would protect them from low prices at home, and many believed this was the path to prosperity. For a while, it worked. Billions in cheese and milk powder flowed to China, Mexico, and other countries. American dairy became a global brand, reaching markets that once seemed out of reach. But this success came at a cost. The industry became tied to volatile international markets, where prices could swing wildly overnight due to politics, tariffs, or global events. Suddenly, American farmers weren't just competing locally. They were up against massive producers in New Zealand, Europe, and Australia, all fighting for the same customers. Their livelihoods now depended on international trade deals and the unpredictable tides of global economics, far beyond their control. The shift from a stable domestic market to a risky global game set the stage for today's crisis, leaving many farmers uncertain about the future. The very strategy that once promised endless growth has now left farmers dangerously exposed, with many struggling to keep their operations afloat. Now, the fallout is hitting home. Rural communities are feeling the impact as the dream of prosperity gives way to a harsh new reality. Trouble began when China, once the top buyer of U.S. dairy, slashed imports as its economy slowed. For years, American farmers had relied on China's booming appetite for milk, cheese, and powdered dairy, shipping millions of dollars worth of products across the Pacific. But as China's growth faltered, demand dried up almost overnight, leaving U.S. exporters scrambling. American exporters were left with a massive surplus and nowhere to send it. Warehouses filled to capacity, and milk tanks on farms began to overflow as products destined for China sat unsold. At the same time, Europe and New Zealand pounced, undercutting U.S. prices and signing new trade deals. These global competitors quickly filled the gap in Asian markets, offering cheaper alternatives and locking in long-term contracts. American farmers, encouraged to expand for exports, suddenly couldn't compete. Investments in new equipment and larger herds now seemed like costly mistakes as international buyers turned elsewhere. Then came a devastating blow, a trade war with Mexico, America's biggest cheese buyer. Overnight, the market that had once absorbed a quarter of U.S. cheese exports was thrown into chaos. Mexico slapped steep tariffs on U.S. dairy, closing a crucial market overnight. Shipments were halted, and cheese destined for Mexican tables piled up in American warehouses. The result? A perfect storm: falling Asian demand, fierce global competition, and a trade war at home. Each blow compounded the last, leaving the industry reeling. Milk flooded the domestic market, and prices crashed to historic lows. With nowhere to export, supply far outstripped demand, and the value of milk plummeted. Farmers were paid less than it cost to produce milk, with bills piling up and no relief in sight. Many struggled to keep up with loan payments, feed costs, and daily expenses. The dream of global prosperity had become a nightmare of financial ruin. Generations of hard work and hope were suddenly at risk as families faced losing their farms. No one had a plan to stop the bleeding. The crisis deepened, leaving rural communities across America searching for answers and fearing for their future. The Miller family in Wisconsin, milking cows for 4 generations, just sold their herd, losing not just income, but a legacy. Their story is echoed across America, farmers working dawn to dusk, falling deeper into debt, and watching their life's work slip away. Many take second jobs to survive. Rural crisis hotlines are overwhelmed. The emotional toll is immense. Losing a farm means losing identity and purpose. Families are torn apart by tough decisions, and younger generations are urged to leave farming behind. Yet, amid despair, resilience shines through. Farmers are forming cooperatives, selling directly to consumers, and supporting each other. They're innovating, finding new ways to survive. The crisis is testing rural America's spirit, but also revealing its strength. The fight to save their farms is a fight for heritage, and they're not giving up. The dairy crisis ripples far beyond the farm. When a farm closes, local feed stores, vets, equipment dealers, and truck drivers all lose business. Food processing plants, often the biggest employers in rural towns, are cutting jobs or shutting down lines. Main Street suffers too. Grocery stores, restaurants, and hardware shops see sales plummet. Empty storefronts and job losses hollow out small towns, making recovery even harder. The crisis erodes the social fabric farms support schools, sponsor teams, and anchor community events. As families move away, schools close and communities shrink. The loss of a farm is more than economic. It weakens the bonds that hold rural America together. The impact is immediate and severe. Rural towns are left struggling to fill the void. The consequences are felt by everyone. In Washington, the dairy crisis has sparked fierce debate, but solutions remain elusive. Lawmakers from rural states demand emergency aid and protections for farmers, while others argue against government intervention. Some push for opening new export markets and deregulation. Others call for supply management to prevent future surpluses. Industry leaders are divided. Big processors want aggressive trade diplomacy, while farmer groups seek coordinated production limits. Powerful lobbying groups complicate the debate, with large corporations and small farmers often at odds. Political gridlock leaves farmers waiting as losses mount. The lack of decisive action only deepens the crisis. While Washington argues rural families face ruin, the clock is ticking. As American farmers struggle, global competitors are seizing the moment. The European Union and New Zealand have moved aggressively into Asian markets, offering better prices and long-term deals. Their governments support exports with favorable trade policies and marketing assistance. New Zealand's unified dairy industry, led by Fonterra, is nimble and efficient. Unlike the fragmented US system, the EU has secured free trade agreements, even filling the gap in Mexico left by US trade disputes. Once buyers switch to new suppliers, it's hard to win them back. America's reputation as a reliable partner is slipping. While US farmers fight for survival, competitors are building a future where American dairy plays a smaller role. The global landscape is shifting, and not in America's favor. Experts say the crisis exposes the dangers of relying on volatile export markets without a safety net. They call for better risk management tools and insurance programs to protect farmers from price swings. Smarter trade policy is crucial. Rebuilding relationships with key partners and avoiding trade wars that hurt agriculture. Some advocate for supply management, aligning production with demand to stabilize prices, as seen in Canada. Critics worry this could stifle innovation, but many believe it's a debate worth having. There's no single fix, Solutions must combine risk management, strategic trade, and innovation. Investing in new dairy products and markets can create fresh demand. The goal: end the boom and bust cycle and build a resilient, sustainable industry. The future depends on bold, balanced action. The dairy crisis is about more than just economics. It's about food security, the preservation of rural heritage, and the very fabric of our communities. Dairy farms are not only businesses, they are lifelines that connect generations, sustain local economies, and provide nourishment for millions of Americans every day. Without action, we risk the permanent loss of thousands of family farms, along with the small towns and rural landscapes that depend on them. These farms are more than land. They are the heart of rural America, supporting schools, local businesses, and traditions. Consumers can make a difference by choosing local dairy products and supporting small producers at farmers markets and neighborhood stores. Learning where your food comes from and making informed choices matters. Every purchase is a vote for the future of American agriculture and the families behind it. Our political leaders must act with urgency, passing immediate aid to struggling farmers and working toward long-term reforms. Smarter trade policies that protect American producers and open-minded debate about the future of the industry are essential to finding real solutions. This is a moment of truth, a turning point for rural America. Will we allow a cornerstone of our nation's heritage to crumble and disappear, or will we come together to build a stronger, more resilient future? The fate of our farms is inseparable from the health and well-being of our nation. It's about ensuring a safe, stable food supply for generations to come and keeping rural communities vibrant and alive. It's about honoring generations of hard work, perseverance, and resilience in the face of adversity. The time to act is now, before the barns go silent for good and a vital part of our American story is lost forever.